Welcome to Star TV's news. I'm Shana Esprit, your presenter. In our top stories, parents need to monitor children more closely, says gender advocate. 2 drowned, 23 rescued in Cuba boat tragedy. Delhi gang rape, 4 sentenced to death. And in sports, Wendy's head coach says spin bowling clinic important. Details of these will follow. Welcome back. Chairman of Dominica Festivals Committee, Mr. Colin Piper, is advising persons intending to travel to Dominica for the 17th Annual World Creole Music Festival to consider alternate means of travel rather than relying solely on LIAT. The regional carrier has recently been plagued with constant setbacks, cancellations, and delays that raised outrage throughout the public.
We're in continued discussions with LIAT because we recognize the dependence that we have on LIAT, whereas some of the other islands with international or rather direct long-haul flights don't have to rely on LIAT. Dominica is dependent. So we have engaged them in discussions to let them know, and let them know that it's very important from now to continue to or to restore confidence in the traveling public with LIAT, particularly as it pertains to the World Creole Music Festival.
The month of October is not a busy time for the carrier, with its third ATR 72-600s now operating in the region. Based on past experiences working with LIAT, Mr. Piper highlighted that the airline has displayed the willingness to change their flight schedules in order to accommodate travelers wishing to attend the World Creole Music Festival. This dedication has led the DFC to have a general comfort level with LIAT during the time leading up to the WCMF.
We are particularly cognizant of the hubs, San Juan, where people will come in, St. Martin, where we have a 7:40 p.m. flight, and Barbados and Antigua, where we have about 3 to 4 flights daily. So those are the discussions, and in my travels next week, I'll be making a special effort to meet with the executives of LIAT to reiterate that point. But what I would want to say to the Dominican people out there and to the visitors that are considering coming is also highlight what else is available as opposed to focusing on LIAT. If you're coming through St. Martin, you obviously have BVI Airways, which has, I think, a 5 or 6 p.m. departure. It's a 19-seater, and I know that BVI, they are business people, and based on the interest, would probably put on additional flights.
There is also the option of Seabourn Airlines providing flights from San Juan, Puerto Rico, while persons coming from Guadeloupe, St. Lucia, and Martinique can travel via the ferry service. In more news, the Public Service Union says that salary negotiations for 2013 to 2015 have been delayed over a job classification exercise which was conducted for the public service. Mr. Thomas Later, General Secretary of the PSU, says the approvals of the job classification exercise have not been made available to the union.
To last week, we wrote to the government requesting the prompt submission of the recommendation of the consultant who will looking at the job classification exercise, because we know that government has been saying that they were awaiting the results of that exercise before we talk about salary negotiations. The first year of the new triennium has come and gone, and we are concerned. So we have written to the government asking for information or asking for the report. We have not seen that. We are still awaiting.
The handing over of the results from the exercise will decide how the PSU proceeds with the matters of salary negotiations.
Our intention is to call a meeting very, very soon of our general membership, but you don't want to call a meeting when you do not have that information to them. So we are hoping that sometime this week at least we get that information. If not, again, when we meet next week, Wednesday, as an executive, we will decide how we deal with the situation.
In June of 2012, the Dominica government confirmed that it was undertaking a job classification exercise for the island's public servants. Acting Minister for the Public Service at the time, Honorable Ambrose George, had said that despite the prudent fiscal measures being faced by government, they are hopeful that it will be able to implement recommendations originating from the job evaluation exercise. The Public Service Union has been calling for a job classification exercise due to the changing roles and demands in the public service. In other news, an action project with the support of the United States Agency for International Development and the CHA has been designed into a cooperative agreement with the Caribbean HIV/AIDS Alliance to expand a dynamic, innovative project within the Eastern Caribbean. The press conference held on Friday, September 13, 2013, highlighted the way forward with partners and stakeholders to enhance access to HIV/AIDS prevention care and treatment services for most at-risk population in the Eastern Caribbean. Mrs. Julie Frampton, coordinator of the HIV/AIDS program, said that everyone should unite to alleviate the impact that this disease has on society, and showed her gratitude in partnering with CAR, a non-governmental organization working in the Caribbean since 2003.
Since then, we've been working closely with the program officer in terms of testing, in terms of training, in terms of outreach activities. And as we are aware, we are a small team in the Ministry of Health, and anybody who wants to support HIV work, we're pleased to have them on board. HIV is everybody's business. It's not one set of people, and we look at it in a multi-sectoral approach, and we want as many people who can support the process and to make a difference in minimizing the negative impact of HIV on our people.
Dilys McDonald, the Technical Director of the Regional Office of Caribbean HIV/AIDS Alliance, said it is important to reinforce a commitment on support to the national response.
CHA sees itself as working in support of the national response and is very much committed to ensuring that, as Joanne mentioned, we contribute to the goal of getting to zero new infections. As we know, HIV continues to be a challenge. Some people think that now, more than 30 years into the epidemic, we could forget about HIV, particularly because HIV is now viewed as a chronic disease, as people are living longer and longer with HIV.
The focus of the Alliance is to reach out to those most at risk to HIV infections and continue to move ahead despite the foreseeable challenges.
It is a privilege to be here in Dominica now and working alongside the national program, and we hope that together we could move forward in terms of achieving reducing and eliminating new infections of HIV.
In implementing this project, CAR will partner with Population Services International, who will assist in meeting key strategies of the project, including social marketing media, along with the Caribbean Network of Positives. In other stories, parents are being urged to ensure they pay closer attention to their children, especially as it relates to the use of technology. This is the view of gender advocate Mrs. Delia Coffey Wicks, who says parents are much more exposed to technology.
At first, you were only surrounded by the people in your immediate environment. Right now, with the advent of the smartphones and the computers, our children have access to all kinds of things. If you can afford to give these things to your children without putting additional strain on yourself, then that is your option. But I also think that anything that we provide for our children, we need to know better than the children what it is that we're placing in their hands. Because our children are having a very healthy appetite of pornography.
Children no longer have difficulty accessing pornography. They can find it in their bedrooms through access to the internet and through their internet-ready cell phones, which their parents purchase for them. Mrs. Wicks explained what is even more disturbing is that the children are now using their camera phones to record their own pornographic videos, which are being circulated in the public domain and on the internet. This kind of action, she says, highlights the need for closer supervision by parents while keeping healthy discussions with them so that they do not engage in explicit activities.
Do you really know what your children are doing? Do you have access to what it is that your children are consuming online? Parents, it's time to wake up and smell the coffee. Know who your children's friends are. If you are a parent, take up that responsibility. Help your children to make the right decision. Choose the right friends. Associate with the correct people. Read the correct information. Look at educational material so that we do not have them just encouraging their hormones to run wild based on what they see, because monkey see, monkey do.
If and when parents discover their child or children involved in explicit activities, they should sit down and talk with them rather than try to physically harm them. She said the earlier parents discover the activities of their children, the better.
Notice what your children are doing. Check up on them. Speak to their friends. Know who their friends are. Encourage their friends to come home. And if their friends cannot come home, that should raise a red flag for you. Open your eyes as a parent and make sure that you are taking responsibility for your children. Because even if you don't want to, the legal system tells you that you're responsible for them until the age of 18. So if you go to the juvenile court, we see we have a lot of frustrated parents who may face jail time for not paying for things that their children have done.
The gender advocate is advising all parents to work with their children to avoid these pitfalls and take up their important responsibilities, not just as parents, but as good parents. In more stories, Grand Bay Reunion 2014 was officially launched under the theme Recognizing Our Past, Embracing Our Future as One People on Thursday, September 12th at the Old Fort in Grand Bay. Reunion Committee Assistant Coordinator Mr. Julian Paquette said the reunion also observed 40 years of the Geneva Uprising. He said he is one of the recipients of the Geneva Revolution and he now lives on the Geneva estate. This reunion brings the young and old together, he stated.
The people who were there 40 years ago and left and have not returned, I know it's going to be an honor for them to return to Dominica, return to Grand Bay, their homeland, and see the tremendous improvements that we have made in South City. It is not an accident. Grand Bay is always an improving village. If you look back in the days, we had only one strip of houses in the Lally, but we have expanded Grand Bay into what is remarkable. Not too long ago, a friend of mine who have not been here in 20 years, he left Grand Bay 20 years ago, and then when he returned, he said to me, my goodness, I'm almost lost.
Although there is still a lot more to be done within the village, Mr. Paquette says that they are a developing community. He believes this reunion will not only allow individuals to return to the village to join their families, but to also rent hotels that will develop Grand Bay economically. Mr. Llewellyn Richards, Grand Bay Village Council's chairman, said the reunion will not only focus on the social aspects, but will embark on the implementation of sustainable development plans, programs, and policies geared at improving the standard of living of the people within the Grand Bay Village.
It is my intention, therefore, as chairman of the Grand Bay Village Council, to implement the Grand Bay Emergency/Development Fund, GEDEF, which will be launched during the reunion next year. A facility which will allow Granbayrians across the group to demonstrate true patriotism by becoming a member and committing themselves to making a very small contribution of $1 per month to that fund. This facility will enable the council to undertake the much needed infrastructural and environmental development projects to assist residents in areas of health, education, disaster relief, accidents and emergency without depending solely on government's resources.
Richards informed us that Bonty Liverpool and Jerry Leslie were the first individuals to come on board and make cash contributions. The village's parliamentary representative, Honorable Justina Charles, said 2014's reunion will commemorate activities of 1974 on the Geneva Estate, which has changed the landscape of the entire community. An activity which has led to village expansion and enabled many individuals to own land portions for housing or agricultural purposes, she noted.
Reunions are profound. It is a time for social gathering, for uniting relatives, friends, and associates, which will ultimately reunite people within a community. It provides an opportunity to celebrate achievements and successes of people, community, and country. It also will provide us with an opportunity to identify our challenges and to find ways to solve those challenges. It is public knowledge that Grand Bay is a very vibrant and resourceful community. So there is no doubt at all that we have a lot to celebrate when we come together as we reunite the community from the 25th of July to August 4th, 2014. Let us not forget that we are the cultural basket of this nature island, and the opportunity will present itself to enable us to showcase that culture that we love and cherish.
The reunion is scheduled for July 25th to August 4th, 2014. In more news, the Rotaract Club of Roseau, sponsored by the Rotary Club of Dominica, will on Monday, September 16, celebrate its 20th anniversary of existence. The club was chartered on September 16, 1985. Over the years, it has executed countless projects, helping the less fortunate in various communities around Dominica, organizing the annual Carnival Princess Show and a children's Christmas party in different communities each year. In keeping with its motto, Fellowship Through Service, the club will execute a week of activities to commemorate its anniversary, the aim of which is to enhance the lives of persons in the community as well as Rotaractors by extension. Club members will participate in a Rotary-organized wellness walk to Screws Sulphur Spa on Saturday, 14 September, in order to create further awareness of non-communicable diseases in an effort to stop the epidemic of these diseases in the region. The celebrations officially begins on Sunday, 15 September, with club members participating in a church service at the Roman Catholic Holy Spirit Chapel in Loubier, where a hamper of groceries will be donated to a needy family of that community. On the day of its anniversary, Dominicans will be informed about the Rotaract Club of Roseau and its operations by way of participation as a guest on a local radio program. Thursday night in September, we will see the hosting of the second episode in a series of debates organized by the Professional Service Committee of the club, where they will debate the topic, should jeans be worn at business meetings? This will take place at the Prevost Cinema from 7:30 p.m. In a community service project, the Stock Farm Playground will be polished by the hands of Rotaractors, Rotarians, and Interactors, with the help of some friendly prison inmates on Saturday, 21st September. The week of activities will end with a trip to the river after the playground cleanup, where Rotaractors and friends will socialize. Rotaract stands for Rotary and Action and is a Rotary-sponsored service club which allows young men and women ages 18 to 30 the opportunity to offer service to their communities while developing themselves personally and professionally through a spirit of fellowship and understanding. In other news, reports have indicated that Dr. Colin McIntyre, Trade Minister, has stated that a $2.1 million loan made available by the CARICOM Development Fund will address the number of concerns relating to the trading of agricultural produce. These funds will improve the quality of agricultural exports and address issues of marketing and labeling. Several Dominicans have voiced their concerns about the poor quality produce exported from Dominica. According to the minister, most global markets and international markets particularly prefer the Dominican produce. Therefore, the government realized the significance of injecting funds into packaging, labeling, sorting, and grading, as the standards sometimes tend to lower the value of Dominica's price produce. Dr. McIntyre informed that the government wants to take it to the final phase, where we are able to consider implementing a Fresh Produce Act, selecting proper produce, sorting and grading, as well as proper packaging and labeling of the product, to implement them into the market as fresh Dominican produce for consumers. Mr. Felix Wilson, Program Officer at the University of the West Indies Open Campus, says Les Lasser will win Miss World. Les Lasser is expected to represent Dominica at the 63rd edition of the Miss World pageant, carried for September 28th in Indonesia, and is supported by the Discover Dominica Authority through the Dominica Festivals Committee.
She will win. She's in Thailand now. There's a Trinidadian girl there, but she's going to lick her. And I should tell you about Miss World. Dr. Severin knows he judges the Queen show here, and let us give him some accolade, because he helped this lady, Miss Les Lasser Shillingford Armour, in speech. Armour Shillingford. This double barrel statement always give me a problem. Since you mentioned them both, there's a hyphen between them. Okay, so nothing was left out. But Dr. Severin helped her in preparing her speech and answering questions of both international and regional value, you may say, that will help her.
Miss Armour Shillingford holds 3 regional titles, in addition to the title of Miss Dominica 2013. She was crowned Miss Carival in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Miss JC's International in Antigua, Miss Caribbean Culture in Nevis, and has copped first runner-up in the Miss Caribbean World pageant.
With Miss World, a selection is done long before the show. Do you know that? Huh? All the contestants know the 5 people. You look at them. They never look surprised. Miss Argentina. Well, that may not be the first one they'll call. They'll say, Miss Dominica. And somebody will say in French, de la Dominique. You know, because Les Lasser will be up there. But what they do, they go through. They bring them to football matches, rugby matches. They bring them to schools. They bring them in all different events, and they keep watching them, how they behave. They bring them to eat dinner, and I hope Les Lasser doesn't do that. You don't eat from the knife. If you don't do those fine skills, then you will not be selected in the last 5.
Just as the UIS administrators support Miss Armour Shillingford, the public is being urged to do just the same. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.
With a lot of controversy surrounding the government's presidential nominee, Mrs. Alex Boyd Knights, SAT-TV took to the streets to find out the public's opinion on the matter. Take a listen to what they had to say.
I don't think there should be really so much controversy over that, electing a new president, but the person that was chosen, I guess, many people have a difficulty with her in the House of Assembly. She put things where it's supposed to be, and it looks like she's giving the opposition a run for the money. So I mean, it's a difficult thing if she's nominated, that the opposition will kick hell about it, because what? She gives them a run for the money in the House of Assembly. But it doesn't mean that Alex Boyd Knight is not qualified. She's a woman, she's very qualified. but they talk about a character. I don't know about a character. I don't know much about Mrs. Boyd, that sort of stuff. So I can't say much about a character, or she not suited or whatever it is. But I just believe to myself that we as human beings, everybody have their faults.
I understand clearly where Alex Boyd Knight was coming from when she said that she wants to protect her family and that she fears for her family and so on. Because anybody would be fearful in that position, seeing that it is a position where you have a lot of responsibilities and certain rules that you may pass in the country can cause a lot of detrimental possibilities to your family. But I believe that she should have went about differently, whereas approaching the public, because of her position in the country, we will look up to as an example. So she should be more discreet with her response in regards to what they have to say about her.
One of the reasons why I can comment is, in fact, these days I work with the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Dominica. And the Constitution is very, very clear, in very simple language, tells us the procedures that should be followed. And if government or opposition or any ordinary person is to read the Constitution, they would be very clear as to what needs to be done in the process of electing a president. Section 19 and Section 21 are very clear. So there should be no ambiguities or disagreements since it is well laid out. The opposition is right in saying that, look, well, we agree with the last nominee, but we want to know if it is in keeping with the Constitution. To be blunt, it would be a very poor choice. And I'm on the side of the group of people who are adamant that she would not be, based on her history in Parliament. And it's good to look at the total person, not only the qualification, but the whole personality, because you want someone that will unite people. And her experiences with people have not been a good one. It has created more division than uniting people. So on this basis, I think that was a very poor choice.
What do you think about the current Mrs. Lafont?
Well, Mrs. Lafont has a different personality. And once she can qualify based on the constitutions, on the sections of the Constitution that makes provision for qualification or disqualification, she can be a good choice.
But she's not a woman that is well liked by many people. You understand what I'm telling you? Her style of how she governs and do things, many people don't like her style. But she's a woman that when she's in the house, she goes according to the rules of the house. And that's what happens in the house. So the opposition feel that, hey, look, to have a woman like that for president, that's bad news for them, But it doesn't mean that the woman is not fitted. Just a lot of people don't really like her. She's not a popular woman when it comes to liking. That's what I'm saying. You understand what I'm telling you? But it doesn't mean that she has got the qualifications. She has the qualifications.
Well, for me, Miss Alex Boyd Knight, no. Because of her reputation and what she did, it's wrong. So we didn't need Alex Boyd Knight. But as far as I'm concerned, Miss Jennifer Lafont is okay. But the Prime Minister and the opposition have to come together and do it in an orderly manner that will suit everybody. And the Constitution rights. So it will suit everybody and everybody will agree. I don't see where the opposition is against Jennifer Lafont. No, it's just that we have to go and do it the proper way so that everybody will benefit from it at the end of it. And Dominica will be okay.
Well, the controversy is not a controversy per se, just because lack of understanding help people to probably be ignorant about certain things. I think people know Ms. Boyd Knight is qualified, she's capable, but I think they're looking at is a lady who have no compassion. And to hold such a position, you have to be a compassionate person. You must be able to relate with the rich, with the poor, with not the so educated, and to guide them. And I think this is one of the things that probably prevented and people probably oppose post from her being nominated. It's not about like I say, her abilities or her credentials. She has that. It's just she's not a compassionate person. She will show a little more love. I figure she'll get plenty more in life. Concerning Miss Laffour, I think she's qualified, but I think people are looking at the process. Like you're going to get a job, but they want to do an interview with you. And that's all. By doing the interview, they can say, okay, we done the interview, and you meet the requirements, and we welcome you.
And I believe the other one chosen, Mrs. Laffour. Mrs. Laffour is a good choice. That's also, she was in education, she did a lot for education, and that sort of stuff, put things in perspective. So I believe she's a good choice. So they should look at her seriously, representing, and you know, it will be the first woman president in Dominica. That'll be history in the making. So I think the opposition should go with the choice of Miss Laffour. I think she's a good choice. And you know, all the controversy that's going on, you know, just come together and do it and make things happen. And let peace reign in the country, man. You know what I mean? Let peace reign from Kashafo to Kapushit, man. You know, come together, do things and make things, let Dominica run and be prosperous.
During the interviews, many people refrained from stating their view on the matter, as they stated that they would not want to be victimized for their political affiliation. This is Larry Larrock reporting for SAT TV News.
Have you ever wanted to order on the internet but don't own a credit card, or you're just fed up of the high prices of items locally? Well, the solution is Chemex Online Services. Chemex Online Services order a wide variety of items and get your items in as quick as 5 to 10 days. For placing orders or for more information, call 614-9550. The sky's the limit with Chemex Online Services.
Music is life, you don't know. And I'm all set and ready to blow. I got some places out there I wanna see. It's gonna be irate, yeah. So put your hand in the air just for me. I want it up for the world to see, 'cause I wanted you and me's a fire. I'll bring the flame. It's gonna be irate, yeah. Boom, this is Mr. Nye, and you're listening and watching SAT Telecoms.